Okay, just got back from a hike. Different clothes. I'm all sunburned and loved it. Um, right now, we're going to talk about information that we can get from the graph of a function. And what I want to point out to you is, let's suppose here is our coordinate axis that you've seen before, and here is my line of my graph, whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but these points all represent points that satisfy the function y equals f of x. X is my dependent variable, this is the x-axis, and y is my, did I say dependent? X is my independent variable, y is my dependent variable, y depends on x. What I put in the slot here tells me what y is. And that value, say this is the point that I'm looking at, it's a certain x and y coordinate. X comes first, then y. Please don't get them mixed up. Please don't put y first and then x. Make sure you always stay with that convention. The x term comes first, and so what I have right here, this is that I can say x sub 0 or something like that. It's a certain x value, and f tells me to put that point right here. And this height is the y. That's the height. So by looking at my graph and I go to this x value here, it tells me that y is that much. It's the difference between, the height is basically the value of the y, the distance there from the x-axis. So I can talk about net change. Let's go ahead and leave. I'm going to erase some of these here. But let's suppose that I go out my x-axis there and I have another x value, x1, and it tells me that my y value is right there. Net change is the difference between, by the way, let's say that this line here is f of x, and it just goes on and does whatever. That's going to be f of x1 minus f of x0. It's going to be this height minus this height, which looks to me, let's change pens, like net change is going to be about that much. Think about it. I have this is my height, my y value for the further point. This is my y value for the nearer point. The difference is going to be this length minus this length, which looks like it's going to be about that much. Let me just draw a line. That's going to be my net change. Then if I want the average rate of change, I hope that you are thinking, why is he doing something that is so simple? And yet it can be confusing. So pay close attention. The average rate of change is simply the net change divided by the difference in the x values. This is x1 going all the way to there. This is x0. So my net difference between this is going to be x1 minus x0. Again, all I'm doing is taking the difference in the y's and dividing it by the difference in the x's. And that gives me my average rate of change. You do this when you drive to Phoenix. It's about 120 miles from Flagstaff to Phoenix. You get there in an hour and 35 minutes. You basically are taking the distance and dividing it by the time, and that's exactly the same thing. You get this average rate of speed. You get about 73 miles an hour. You're going to be going faster sometimes. You're going to be going slower sometimes. You get stuck behind a semi. All these things come into play, but at the end, you've gone the full distance and you divide it by the full amount of time. Same thing here. I divide my distance vertically and I divide it by the distance horizontally. And that gets me on my average rate of change. We'll do more on this.